So guys, thanks to the most recent update, all of your Warlock turrets, those being Hellion, Arc Soul, Child of the Old Gods, Bleak Watcher, and Ionic Sentry, they are all now going to benefit from anything that is related to your grenade, be it your overall grenade stat. If it is above 100, the grenade damage boost will be affecting the damage of your turrets. If you have Ashes to Assets or Firepower mods equipped, those will also be working with your different turrets. So today I'm here with a full Prismatic build, taking advantage of all of the new turret-based buffs. With this build, you're going to be able to generate two very potent turret types in the form of Bleak Watcher and Arc Soul. You're going to have Devour active all the time, and you're going to be really easily able to deal with any and all types of content in the game thanks to this build. Now, this build isn't very much new in the fact it just got buffed recently, so we're going to be talking about it here today. With that said, let's jump in first with the exotic armor piece that you are going to need for this build, that of course being the Getaway Artist exotic gloves. If you already know what these do, cool, we're going to go over it anyway for those who don't. This comes with the perk Dynamic Duo, which will convert your Arc Grenade into an Arc Soul and become amplified. Your Arc Soul functions as an autonomous turret. So if you just hold your grenade button down, you will instead do an animation that consumes your grenade and generate an Arc Soul instead. This is an amplified version of the Arc Soul as well, so it's going to be shooting, I believe, 5 shots rather than the normal 3. Paired with the Prismatic subclass as well. For the aspects, we are of course using Feed the Void to grant us Devour. Devour is going to be granting us health back whenever we get a kill with the buff active, and is also going to be granting us grenade energy, and we activate Devour just by getting any ability kill, which does include our different turret abilities. And then of course we're using Bleak Watcher here because of the unique interaction that the Bleak Watcher aspect has with the Getaway Artists. Because normally you need to hold your grenade and then actually throw it in a direction to summon your Bleak Watcher. But with Getaway Artists, because you're consuming your grenade, you'll instead just, upon consuming your grenade, throw out a Bleak Watcher turret as well in the general direction you are facing. So just for consuming your grenade is going to generate you 2 turret types, which is very, very strong. Now, the main thing you're going to need here is obviously an arc grenade. So we're, of course, using the Storm Grenade here as the only arc grenade option. For the melee, we're using Arcane Needle because it's very, very potent. And then we have Phoenix Dive there just because it's a very quickly obtainable class ability. Now for the super here, I'm of course using Song of Flame, just because it's the best super, honestly, here on Prismatic. Now sadly, when you're in your Song of Flame super, you can't be generating your turrets, and the same thing goes when you activate your Transcendence mode, because your grenade will be transformed into Freezing Singularity, but with the certain fragments that we have equipped, you're also going to be buffing that grenade as well. So, speaking of fragments, the main one you're going to need is Facet of Dominance. This is going to make your Void Grenades weaken targets and your Arc Grenades jolt targets. What that means is that your Arc Sentry turret, your Arc Soul, will be jolting every target that it shoots, which is absolutely insane. And then when you go Transcendent, your Void Grenade, thanks to the Freezing Singularity, will be weakening targets as well as everything else that it already does, which is insanely strong to just have in one fragment. Now for the other fragments, we're of course using Facet of Sacrifice, so that while I have an Arc, Solar or Void buff, mainly Devour, ability Final Blows grant bonus Darkness Transcendence energy, and this also grants us a +10 to our grenade stats, which is very, very nice. Then we're of course using Facet of Courage, where your Arc, Solar and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets affected by darkness debuffs. This means that our Arc Sentry turret, our Arc Soul, will be dealing more damage to any target that our Bleak Watcher shoots at, which is going to be very good because the Bleak Watcher obviously slows and freezes targets that it shoots at. And then finally we have Facet of Balance, where rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, and rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy, which is just an overall great fragment to use to help with our ability uptime. Now in terms of other fragments that you can use, one that would be very, very good to have would be Facet of Ruin, so that you increase the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target, or your solar ignitions. This is going to be very good because you're going to be freezing a lot of people with your Bleak Watcher, but overall I prefer the combination of Sacrifice, Courage, Dominance and Balance just for the overall ability uptime and benefits that you get with your different abilities. Overall though, you can customize this to your heart's content with throwing in a whole lot of different aspects and fragments, but these are the ones that I highly recommend. Now, going over to the mods here, main things you're going to need, obviously Ashes to Assets in the helmet, gain bonus super energy on grenade final blows. All of your turret final blows from Bleak Watcher and Arc Soul are going to be benefiting from this mod. Same thing goes for firepower mods. Grenade final blows create orbs of power. Your Arc Soul and Bleak Watcher will be generating orbs whenever you get final blows, which is absolutely insane. Alongside that, we have a grenade kickstarter, so that we can convert our armor charge stacks into more grenade energy upon using our grenade, just to get it back faster. We then also have innovation, so that whenever we collect an orb of power, it's going to be reducing our grenade cooldown. And then finally, bomber in the class item there, so that we can have more grenade energy when using our class ability. And then also one thing of Reaper, so that after using our class ability, our next weapon final blow will spawn an orb of power. Now, if your grenade stat is lacking, I would highly recommend switching any of these armor mods here to the grenade option, just so that you can get to up to 100 plus. If you're at like 150 or something, it's fine. If you want to go all the way into a grenade and get it to 200, you can also do that to gain a better damage benefit for your grenades. But I think around 150 is fine to give you that 30% PvE damage boost. And it also helps to have your other stats not be too bad off. I quite like having a decent spread among most of my main abilities and stats here, so that's why I have a mixture of different boosts there. But if you really want to go down and boost your grenade, just go full grenade mods and you'll be doing insane amounts of damage with your turrets. Now, in terms of the artifact here, I'm not using really anything here that is too potent for this build. The build itself really speaks for itself. Consume your grenade, summon both your turrets, and thanks to your stats, the turrets are just going to do insane amounts of damage. So you don't really need anything here in particular. If you're using solar weapons, of course, taking advantage of things like Fever and Chill is going to be great. Radiant Shrapnel is also pretty decent. You can go for more of the stasis focused stuff if you want to, but I'm not really using anything here in particular to my advantage. I could if I wanted to, but the build itself does really speak for itself, so you can use whatever you want, really. And that's pretty much it for this prismatic build. Obviously, it's not too much different from how it was back in the final shape, but thanks to Facet Dominance now allowing your arc turret to jolt stuff, it's just way more potent than it already was. And thanks to the addition of the different mods now affecting your turrets, it's just really way more stronger than it was before. But that's not the only build that has gotten a buff thanks to these most recent changes. You got buffs that include Child of the Old Gods with Briar Binds. Those are going to be insanely good now with all of these benefits. Same goes for the Arc subclass. You can run a build that has both Arc Soul and your Ionic Sentry. That will kind of play similarly to this build, but not requiring you to use Prismatic. So if you want to go full on Arc, you can. Hellion, I've already made a couple videos on Yanoya with those things, and oh my days, those are going to be so good with these buffs. Now, sadly, the only subclass that didn't really receive a benefit here is Strand, as Threadlings themselves do not get the benefits that every other construct or turret did. I really hope that Bungie actually goes back and changes this, because even though Threadlings themselves did get their own little buff a little while ago, they still aren't really anything compared to how these turrets now function thanks to their incorporation into the grenade stat. So seeing if Threadlings could gain the same benefit, so having them tied to your grenade stat from the different grenade mods, aspects and fragments and even exotics, that would be a very good thing to see in my opinion, because Threadlings, even though they did get a damage buff, they are still very much lacking compared to all of these now newly buffed different turrets and constructs. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel about these buffs in the comments down below. And keep an eye out, because I will be having another build video coming out, I believe Friday, which is more focused on just your grenades generally, rather than these actual constructs and turrets that you are able to summon. So if you're not a fan of the automated turret builds, don't worry, because I'll have you covered very shortly. With that said though, that's everything for today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I would very much appreciate it. And with that all said, I'll see you all in the next one.